Hey friends, this is Dolynny TV. Glad to have you aboard here this morning, this afternoon, this Easter weekend as we get set up for Monday's big game, Game 1 against the LA Kings. 4 years in a row we've faced the Kings, and it should kickstart what will be a round 2 berth for the Edmonton Oilers for the fourth straight year. That sounds about right, right? Based on previous history here against the Kings, but you know what? I've been accused of being very negative lately about the Oilers. So what I'm going to do is what I've been saying for the past few weeks here, right? I'm going to just turn it around. I'm just going to flip it in a start the back end at the front and start the front end at the back, and we'll see what happens there in terms of talking about the Oilers winning the 2025 Stanley Cup. If you are new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button at any time, and let's get to it. So, the Edmonton Oilers will win the Stanley Cup this year if they stay healthy. I think that's a pretty easy way to put it, right? We know that this team, although different from last year, is not worse. That is also plain facts. It's a simple fact that yes, the LA Kings are a better team than last year. I think we can at least give them credit for that. But I don't think the Oilers are a worse team than last year, so that should not be their undoing against the LA Kings. The undoing against the LA Kings, of course, has been the Oilers' undoing here for the past few months, pretty much all the way back to before the Four Nations, which is injuries, right? You had four guys and only one in the top six, I believe, play all 82 games. So that's a pretty tough blow. Bouchard, Kulak, Brown, Podkolzin, all 82 game players. And at times, people would have called for Brown to be scratched. People would have called for Podkolzin to be scratched. People would have called for, Evan Bouchard to be traded. And those guys end up playing all 82. And Brett Kulak, the model of consistency on the Oilers' back end for the past several years, is also another guy that plays 82. So the Oilers have been banged up. But, if the injuries are done with, like Connor McDavid says, we're just resting guys, we're ready to rock and roll for Game 1, it is going to be a joke to see how fast this Edmonton Oilers team can truly run the LA Kings. Now, it might not be that 5-game series like last year, but 6 games and convincing 6 games. As an Oilers fan, no matter how much you want to put the blinders on, that Stuart Skinner will probably have a stinker of a game in round 1. And hey, you lose 1 because of a bad goaltending performance, that's a long way away from 4. And the Oilers can most definitely overcome that situation against the Kings. So no matter what happens with the goaltending, the defense, might be questionable because we don't have Ekholm, but we haven't had Ekholm for over 20 games this year, and I'm sure we still won some hockey games in there. You have a forward lineup that, sees the return of a guy like Trent Frederick, a guy like Evander Kane at some point in the series. Oh, by the way, the defense also gets Jake Wallman back. There's a lot to like here for the Edmonton Oilers and the possibilities that this team can really put something together to, maybe not have as much concern as some folks, including myself, might have about the Kings. Again, health is the key factor. And let me tell you, it's the same thing I've said about the Leafs against the Ottawa Senators. If the Oilers get out of round 1, the world's their oyster from there, because let me tell you, it is going to be an absolute treat to see the Oilers go up against a team like Minnesota or Vegas after that series. Minnesota scratched, clawed, and fought their way to the final days of the season to make the playoffs in that wild card spot in the position to face Vegas. You think they don't know what it means to them? Well, let me tell you, I think they do. And I think they will absolutely go out there and throw it all at Vegas. And kind of like the Oilers when they faced the Kings there that year before facing Vegas. Again, the Kings were kind of a little bit scared about the same thing from the year previous happening again. So they threw a lot at the Oilers, and the Oilers necessarily didn't have enough to beat the Knights in round 2. Well, that might work in the Oilers' favor this year thanks to the Minnesota Wild against the Knights in round number 1. So you move forward to round number 3, which hopefully it's the Winnipeg Jets. Hopefully, by then the Jets have been slowed down. They have some injuries as well to start the playoffs, and hopefully as well you start to see the cracks in the Hellebuck armor that suddenly seem to appear sometimes in the playoffs. It's happened several times in his career. Might have happened in a Four Nations face-off final as well. Connor McDavid might have been the guy to crack him for the overtime winner. So there is tons of potential that the Oilers move forward in a Western Conference matchup. Again, Colorado, I would say same thing there. Maybe two injuries or two slowed down players away from the Oilers being able to be on par and take a series from them. Dallas, I don't see them making it out of round one after losing Robertson and having to face Colorado in round one. And realistically, who else are you going to worry about? St. Louis. If they can take down Winnipeg, that's great for them. But I feel like their magic run is due to run out sometime here soon, especially they're still missing Holloway. And you know what? I don't know if that's a thing that he can replicate 2 years in a row playoff magic. So we'll see what happens. Reminder, Holloway shot 4% better this year than any time in his career with the Oilers. So keep that in mind too if you don't mind. So then you have the Cup final, and unfortunately, the East is about as wide open as I think I've seen it in years. Florida, yeah, I know they're supposed to have all their guys back and they're supposed to be good to go, but I don't know, same thing as us. If Florida, gets into round one and they don't have the health on their side, even despite their guys returning, they're not making it past Tampa. Toronto, Ottawa, coin flip. If Toronto wins the game 7, Toronto's in the Cup final, mark my words. Other than that, Washington, Montreal, this pains me to say because, Montreal is a team that easy to dislike. And, well, guess what? They get into the playoffs, they make noise. That's their problem. So, yeah, Washington, look out. I don't know if they're going to necessarily replicate the magic. And their goaltending as well has been a little bit too good this year not to have a setback, especially against a team like Montreal in round number one. And then, the other series there, whoever that even is, New Jersey and Carolina, who cares? That one probably won't even be televised in Canada, to be honest with you. I don't know what the actual TV schedule is. I'm just saying that's how irrelevant it is. Basically, for the Carolina Hurricanes and New Jersey Devils, it should be Carolina that advances, but again, who knows? Maybe that's kind of similar to that Vegas and Minnesota Wild series where it goes kind of a little bit of a war throughout the series and some team is able to leave more unscathed than the other and that's who advances. I don't know, but you just kind of make your math throughout there. And I foresee that the Leafs, like I said, can make it to the Cup final this year as well. I know I'm dreaming every single year, but there's 4 different Canadian teams on each side of the bracket. So that's the nice part here is you've not 8, but you know what I mean. There's top bracket, bottom bracket. They can all meet in the middle in the final 4. And there is a legit path that they can truly do it. So the All-Canadian Stanley Cup final, as much as it probably won't happen, love to see it happen. And I think it's the Edmonton Oilers' probably best shot of winning a Stanley Cup because obviously, as I'm saying, if the Oilers stay healthy, they win the Stanley Cup. Well, if the Florida Panthers stay healthy, they could also win the Stanley Cup. So now you have a rematch, but does Florida have the gas? Do the Oilers have the gas? Who knows? But definitely the path to the Cup final is there for the Oilers, and the path to win is definitely there if health is on our side. So friends, thanks for being aboard here this morning. My little voice is kind of shot. Again, if you've ever been to Bulldogs on a Thursday night in Olds, you'd kind of understand why the voice is a little shot still Saturday morning. So thanks for being aboard. Up on out of here.